Well, hello, everyone, and welcome to the BEI Live Show. I am your host, Angela Hooper Minifield, one of the co-founders of the Black Entrepreneurs Institute. And I am here this evening with my dear friend and fellow co-founder, Damian Johnson. Hey, Damian.
Hey Angela, how are you today?
I am excellent, and I am also really excited because, as always, we have another great show for our fans and our viewers and our audience.
Yes, we do. I'm really excited because we always bring great people, and let me tell you, we are in for such a treat. Look, I don't want to get ahead of myself, but tune in, grab a pen and paper. It is going to be that good.
It definitely is. So, for those of you who are wondering, Dr. Nick and Cedric are, let's just say they're on sabbatical this evening. We'll use the academia term since Dr. Nick is a professor. They're on sabbatical this evening, but guess what? We'll be back, all of us, next week. So Damian, one of the things that has really been resonating with me over the last few weeks when I talk to different people is so many people are ready for 2020 to be over. And it's interesting because while I get it, like this has been the year of all years, I think we can both kind of say, right? Like we know a lot of people who have had some difficult and some trying circumstances in 2020. But then on the flip side, we know some people who have really been able to leverage and make that pivot in 2020 as well. So, I know a lot of people in our audience are fit both categories. So I just thought maybe it'd be a great opportunity for us to give some words of encouragement to our viewers. So what would you say to our watchers and viewers about, as we exit out of 2020?
Angela, you're exactly right because so many people I know are saying I can't wait for 2020 to be over and 2021 is going to be my year. And as entrepreneurs, here's what I know is that we have to really be able to master the pivot. I always go back to what Marcus David said in his definition of entrepreneurship, that entrepreneurs are able to meet the need of what the market is calling for consciously or subconsciously. And so that means that in times of adversities, as entrepreneurs, we can't afford to shrink up and die because whenever there is change, there are opportunities being created, and we need to be able to see the opportunities and seize it. So here's what I would say, friends. If 2020 hasn't been great to you, be encouraged, right? Because there are still plenty of opportunities out there because new industries are being birthed, new opportunities are covering. Just open your eyes and pay attention to where are the market needs? What are people needing? What are people asking for? What are people shifting toward? And then make the pivot because you've got to be flexible if you're going to be able to win in 2021.
Yeah, that is so true. I love that. Yeah, I actually would echo that same sentiment, right? We have to figure out what the market is asking for, what our clients need from us. And then again, as entrepreneurs, as you say all the time, we solve problems. And so as a result of that, figure out what the new problems are and let's see if we can figure out how we can solve them. So before we get into today's show, and again, you guys, as Damian said, start your watch parties now. And if you're not sure how to do it, typically on the bottom of your screen, there's a share button. Click share and then create a watch party. But I want to let you guys also know that here at BEI, because one of the things we do is we pride ourselves and our mission is to elevate the mindset and the money of entrepreneurs. And we are now creating an opportunity for our audience to help us do that. So we're creating this new monthly segment where we will highlight minority-owned businesses that are getting it right. So guys, as you're now interacting, and I know many of you will be doing shopping, having experiences, buying products, procuring services between now, the end of the year, we want to hear about the businesses that are doing it right. Because so often all we hear about are the examples of people getting it wrong. So here's how you can join us in this activity. We want you to tag us at Black Entrepreneurs Institute in a post, giving a compliment and telling us what made that interaction positive. You can go to our Facebook page and leave us a message. And again, follow us and join our page at Black Entrepreneurs Institute. Or also make a comment here in the thread. You're watching the show now. Maybe just today you had a positive experience. And that could be live or the replay, or even if you're in somebody else's watch party. But tag us and leave us a comment. Because again, we want to know who's getting it right.
Yeah, absolutely. And in terms of even following us, Angela, I want to remind, and maybe for some of you who don't know this, that we actually have a YouTube channel. And so all of our BEI shows, they're there. So I want to encourage you to go to YouTube and search for Black Entrepreneurs Institute. And while you're there, watch the videos, but make sure you hit the subscribe button and share our channel with your friends and family and with those in your network, because I promise you, we are all about elevating mindset and money, and you're going to get tremendous value, because every time we come, we're looking to bring value to you to help you be able to take your entrepreneurial journey up another notch. So our YouTube channel, Black Entrepreneurs Institute, search for us on YouTube and subscribe.
Yes, definitely. So now to this week's show. Now, guys, let me tell you, this week's guest is one for the books, or definitely one you will find you are going to want to watch again. So definitely, as Damien said, subscribe to the YouTube channel so you can watch this episode again. Now, one of the things we often hear phrased or described by many businesses, especially minority owned, is that they struggle with financing or getting access to capital. Well, tonight, we are bringing you an expert in the field of funding. Now, this gentleman actually needs no introduction. For those of you who know him, he is truly a legend. I can tell you that in my personal opinion. Now, Cedric, Damien, and I, we have the pleasure of working and serving as radio talent alongside with him on International Business Radio Network, or Profit Radio. And he also happens to be a fellow BNIer and someone I can tell you that I've already learned so much from. So let me bring to join us to the stage our guest today, David Wilson. Thank you so much for joining us, David.
Hey, how we doing? Great to be here.
Good. Good. It's good to have you, David. Thanks for joining us.
Thank you for having me. Absolutely.
We are doing excellent. And so before we get into our questions for David, I feel compelled just to tell you a little bit more about him. So David is managing principal of Funduup, a 15-year-old funding firm helping small and mid-sized companies acquire short-term business funding when traditional bank financing is unavailable. His firm provides both secured and unsecured capital to operating businesses and real estate investors up to, hear this, guys, $100 million.
Wow.
Now, you can go to www.funduup.com to get more information about that. Now, since founding Funduup, David has started, grown, and exited 2 other companies in the same business financial space, using the networking and connecting methodology and mindset of BNI, which is an acronym for Business Network International, for the entire almost 25-year journey. Currently, David is a BNI director in the Central Virginia region. Notably, David is also a former Director of the Year and former President of the BNI Chapter of the Year. In 2014, David wrote the popular networking event blueprint, and it's titled, I Hate Networking Events, which is also endorsed and recommended by the father of modern networking and the founder of BNI, Dr. Ivan Misner. And yes, it is available on Amazon and at IHateNetworkingEvents.com. This year, he launched his second networking and connecting project. It's titled the No Rejection Connection, where he teaches proactive business owners and entrepreneurs how to monetize their networks by connecting anyone, and that's including themselves, to anyone, anywhere, and for any reason. I love that. Without the fear of rejection.
Yeah.
This program is available at the norejectionconnection.com. You can also catch him as the Business Savage on his internationally broadcast business radio show on IBGR Network called the No Nonsense Market Domination Radio Show. This show airs every Wednesday at 3 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, where he straightforwardly and humorously discusses relevant business topics such as sales, networking, and connecting in a cogent and succinct storytelling format. You can follow, listen, and subscribe to his podcast at https://no nonsense market domination with David Wilson, or download and subscribe wherever you get your podcasts. So, David, let me just say, wow, that is quite an impressive resume.
Oh, thank you. Thank you. I appreciate you sharing it.
David, with as much going on, we are really grateful that you were able to fit us in, because I don't know how you have time with that resume that you've got and all the experience and the different things that you do. Really, thank you. And we're really looking forward to the value you're going to bring to our audience tonight.
Absolutely. Thank you. My pleasure.
All right, well, let's just jump into it. So, Damien, I know you and I have some questions and some things that we want to know more about. So let's just go for it.
Okay, good. So David, so obviously we just covered a snippet of your bio. And so the question really is, how did you get to where you are? So can you maybe elaborate a little bit about your journey and how you arrived at where you are today in your business? I'd love to hear a story.
Sure. So when I came out of college, way back in 97, and the first job I had was selling business financing services to other businesses. So I was told to go to a networking event. And this was before BEI. So I was told to go to a networking event. We called them business card exchanges back then. So this was in New Jersey. So I got my little Saturn, drove up to, I think it was Newark, New Jersey, and I went to my first business card exchange. And my sales manager, if you will, at the time, told me, "Listen, your job is to go up there and collect as many business cards as you can. That's networking." I was like, "Oh, okay, yeah, I can do that." So I go up and I start handing out my business card and taking other people's business cards. When the night was over, I had probably about 54 or so business cards. I was excited about that. The following day, he told me to go do it again. And I collected about 60 something business cards. So I'm thinking, wow, this is great. So this is easy, all this networking stuff. And I started calling people back, and I was like, wow, they don't even know who I am. So I'm saying, "Hello, I'm David Wilson from," like, "Who?" "Oh, from the event last night." "What event?" "Oh," and it was, so in short, I wasn't connecting with anyone. This was not networking. I was just collecting business cards. It was shortly thereafter that I answered an ad in the newspaper to get involved with the central New Jersey region of BEI to help grow it. That was 1997. Fast forward to a couple moves, ended up down in Richmond, Virginia in 2006. So after starting and growing and exiting two companies through BEI, I started Funduup in 2006 in Richmond, Virginia, where I am now, and grew it to where we are today. Along that journey, someone convinced me. I guess it was my wife ultimately convinced me. You know what? You should write a book. You should write a book about your experiences, and that's where I Hate Networking Events came in. All kinds of stories. The one I just told you is in that book. And how to network, what to do before, during, and after your next networking event. Funduup in 2006, it morphed and grew, and ups and downs, and different offerings that worked, different offerings that didn't. And it grew into what it is now, which is primarily a funding company. As Angela, you mentioned earlier, we help businesses get funding when traditional bank financing is not available. And I've always been in the business helping financial space, if you will. That's what I call it. And that's where we are. So BNI, networking, connecting, bringing all that together to today. IBGR Radio, that's been an awesome opportunity to get my stories out and to help more entrepreneurs. Ultimately, the foundation, the ultimate goal is to help business owners, help small and mid-sized business owners reach their goals, and that's it.
Wow. That is very impressive. So just for full transparency, I hate networking events too, right? Like, so
Okay.
I already know that I have got to grab your book, because what you just described is exactly what I have described to tons of people. I'm like, you go, and then what? And so I often tell people I would rather go to a networking event and walk away with 3 or 4 substantive connections, right? People that I really talk to, I engage with, I could see rapport, maybe some potential synergy, versus coming home with the stack of, as you said, the people who don't even really remember me, and I vaguely remember them as well.
That's right. That's right. In fact, in the book, I have something called an EPSM. So that's an exploring possible synergies meeting. Your goal when you're out networking, this can be in person, as we know, we're kind of challenged now with this whole COVID thing. So a lot of the stuff that we're doing is online, but it's very similar in that we want to boil the connection down to an exploration of possible synergies. That's why we're going to continue our conversation after this event right here. So if there's a reason for us to continue our discussion, maybe I can help you, you can help me, I can help your clients, you can help my clients, or a combination of those 4, then it stands that we should have an exploring possible synergies meeting to see where that goes, see what's possible.
Yeah, I like that. I'll have to, definitely getting the book. Okay. So here's what we know, right? Like, entrepreneurs represent a vast range of businesses, and this is as it pertains to size, service, clientele, and sector. So is there like a checklist or a method for a business owner to know at what point or level of growth that they're ready for funding from other sources?
Is there a checklist? I think if there's a checklist for this, there's a checklist for parenting, right? So no. There. I don't think there's a checklist.
Okay.
There may be certain certain milestones that you reach that maybe someone who's really looking at numbers and analyzing numbers will be able to tell you, okay, now it's time for funding. For me, if I'm advising a business, I always say you should proceed forward and grow organically for as long as you can, for as long as you possibly can. I think one of the challenges business owners, entrepreneurs make early on is thinking that they need more things than they actually need before they even have a business. So I need, got to get this this cool office space, and you don't have any clients. So if you don't have any clients, you don't have a business yet. So until you get clients, get the clients first, then worry about those expenses. Otherwise, you're going to be burdened with all of those expenses. I would say your best salesperson is yourself in the beginning, and sell it. Figure out what the problem is. What are you solving? And give I say this on my show a lot. Two things we should keep in the front of our minds: give, and I'm just trying to help. So with those two things, you can't be rejected. I think that fear of rejection keeps us from wanting to build organically, and we think we need more than we actually need. It should only be until we can't grow organically anymore. So if you're running a company and let's say you land a big contract and you need specialized equipment to fulfill that contract, now we start looking at funding if we can't purchase that organically, or if we need specialized people. But any other type of fixed overhead, I think we wait on that until we get to a point where we can comfortably move into a new space.
Well, so David, let me ask you this then. So help me understand it in terms of when we look at Funduup, right? What is the difference between seeking funding from a source, for example, like what you offer, versus other traditional sources, for example, a bank or maybe SBA? What's the difference there?
What I always tell business owners, and I think this is why business bankers are probably our best referral source. If you can get funding from a bank using SBA guaranteed funds, traditional funding, you should. To answer your question, the difference is going to be really ability to qualify and probably time. So three areas. We help businesses typically when there are challenges in one of three areas: credit, collateral, or time. So there's some kind of challenge with credit, there's some kind of challenge with collateral. Either there is no collateral, or there's something wrong with the collateral, or there's not enough collateral, or time, whether it's time in business or time in which the funds are needed. We'll always be able to move faster than a bank with our unsecured business funding products. But as a result, our cost of money is going to be higher. So I guess I'm giving you a bunch of differences between our funding and bank financing. Banks are always going to want more paperwork than we're going to require. They're going to ask for financials. They're going to ask for tax returns. We don't necessarily need those. They're going to ask for credit to be at a certain threshold. I've seen 650. I've seen 680. It depends. They're gonna want collateral. Banks generally will not make loans when there is no collateral, and they're going to want a certain time in business, usually about 2 years. So that's the real overlap. More often than not, a business owner is going to go to a bank first, and the bank will do the deal if they can. If they can't, they'll send it to Funduup. Every so often, I'll get someone who hadn't gone to a bank first and should have, and we won't do that deal without you going to a bank. I mean, I can look at a deal and see, okay, this is bankable. If you don't have a relationship with a business bank, a business banker, let's find you one so you can get that deal done.
Okay, so let me just ask a follow-up to that then. So it sounds like, since time is one of the metrics that you use, then is it safe to say that you're dealing with early stage entrepreneurs? Because you mentioned time in business.
I wouldn't call it that. I think we don't, neither we nor most fund startups. It's very difficult to fund. Startup funding, venture capital funding is very is very hands-on, very, I like to call it emotional, because you're really buying the entrepreneur, you're buying you're buying the idea in exchange for upside, in exchange for equity in the business. What we don't typically deal with equity plays. We deal with debt plays. So we're looking at there's a return on our return on investment is going to be from debt service. It's not going to be from equity. Every so often, an equity deal will come across my desk that might have some interest in, and I have some folks in my network that are interested in equity deals, but that's not really what we do. So to really be clear about answering your question, in my world, there's a difference between a startup and a company who's not been in business for 2 years. So company's not been in business 2 years, they have revenue, but they can't go to a bank, is a potential client for us. A group of college buddies who have this awesome idea in tech to do something that is pre-revenue, have your business plan, have your slide deck and everything, and they're trying to raise $1 million. That's not our deal.
Okay, got it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that helps me understand too. So, one of the reasons why the four of us came together initially with the Black Entrepreneurs Institute was because it was clear to us that there were just some gaps that are facing minority-owned businesses, and particularly Black-owned businesses. And when we had done our research, we're reading articles, one of the things that continued to pop up as an issue was the fact that minority-owned businesses fail to have access to capital. So can you talk a little bit to us about what it means when people use that phrasing, or it just says things like business fail because of lack of access to capital? And then secondly, what are your observations as it pertains to why is this a greater challenge for minority-owned businesses?
Okay, sure. I think ultimately the challenge, if you will, is that more often than not, these businesses are first generation businesses, first generation entrepreneurs. So we have no one to kind of look behind us and say, hey, how did you get access to capital, dad, mom, granddad, like that? We don't have that. So a lot of times we're going after it by ourselves, right? And we're doing the best we can with what we have, but that's all we have. So that's the challenge. As a result, sometimes we don't know where to start. We don't know where to look. We don't know when the timing is right to pursue this type of finance. We don't have dad's buddy who works at the bank who can say, okay, yeah, I got you. And this is all real stuff. And a lot of times we don't have that. So thirdly, true lack of access to capital. You know what? We're not going to fund your type of business.
Mm-hmm.
So make no mistake about it, that happens as well. Mm-hmm. And that is a real challenge. I think we're overcoming those challenges with second generations that are coming up that are starting businesses as well. So we're teaching our kids, grandkids, what we're doing. We're passing along the business to our kids and grandkids. And there are a lot of Black banks that are now, especially now, there's a lot of banks, especially now, that are taking a different look, a different approach, and realizing, you know what? here, the numbers don't lie. We haven't been doing a good job funding minority businesses because the numbers are here. So we're going to make a push to fund more and to take stronger looks at the strength in the Black community, the strength in the minority community, the business communities, that and help them, the way we've helped other communities in the past. It's we've been overlooked.
Wow, that's so true. So David, thank you for bringing that clarity. That's really helpful to understand, what you mean by access to capital, and we echo everything that you've said. But I want to shift gears slightly, and I want to hear about you and your entrepreneurial journey. So tell me from your experience, what has been one of your biggest learns as an entrepreneur?
Remember, but have a short memory.
All right, you're gonna have to unpack that, David.
Okay.
You said a lot there.
So I came up. I came up as a soccer player. So I was a goalkeeper.
Okay.
And goalkeeper, for those who don't know, is a guy that keeps the ball out of the net, right? If I make a mistake, the whole world sees the mistake, right? But you have to remember how you made the mistake. Remember that you made the mistake, but have a short memory, because you better forget about it quickly because the team needs you now. So in business, we're going to make mistakes. We're going to launch products that don't work. We're going to be too early for certain things. We're going to be too late for certain things. Learn from it and forget it and move on.
Do you have an example that you could share?
Yes, actually.
You said that real quick.
So this was back in 2007. I had an opportunity. I was partnering with a company that in the merchant services space was something called pay at table. So pay at table was this ingenious idea to bring a credit card machine directly to the table and have people swipe their cards at the table. So I'm thinking, wow, this is brilliant, because people in Europe are doing this. This is great. And I will tell you without fail, every single restaurant I brought this to laughed. It's like, this will never work. This is the stupidest thing I've ever seen. Nobody's going to pay a table. What about the wait staff is not going to carry around? The wait staff is not going to carry around a machine. Nobody's going to take their card out and swipe it at the table.
Too early.
So that's a perfect example. I was too early.
Yeah.
So now, as we know, that actually happens. And is it a missed opportunity? We don't look at it that way. So as entrepreneurs, we can't look at it like that. You remember it and then forget it. And then we move on. That simply means that there was another opportunity that was waiting for me that just wasn't for me.
Oh, that's so good.
That is. So I'm going to shift a little bit too, because when I was reading your bio, one of the things we talked about was, in addition to the I Hate Networking events, and of course, everybody, again, we want you to go to this website, get your book, because I think it's going to add a lot of value. You have another program that's titled the No Rejection Connection. And when you and I talked last week, you were telling me about it, and I was like, okay, I already know I want this. So I don't want to be selfish, because I think some other people want it too. So tell us about it.
Yeah.
So the No Rejection Connection came about from all of my experience networking and connecting. Everything here is related. So I think business success has a lot to do with who you connect to, who you know, how you connect to them, knowing where to look, knowing how to do it, not being afraid to do it. The no rejection connection is, gosh, almost, is it a quarter century? 25 years, a quarter century. I'll be darned. Okay, so it's almost a quarter of a century of ups and downs and mistakes and whatnot, things that I have done and ways that I've tried to connect that didn't work, ways that I've tried to connect that did work, all kind of mashed together in a program and in a script that is designed to help you actually monetize your network. The No Rejection Connection, I teach you how to monetize your network, rejuvenate your network by giving to your network. So that's the first piece. The second piece is how to connect yourself to anyone, anywhere, for any reason, without the fear of rejection ever again. And I think this all ties into business growth, access to capital, how to speak to VCs, how to speak to bankers, how to speak to investors, how to speak to the big potential client. It's all tied together. So in this program, it's that simple. I walk you through the first part is how to connect your network to someone. The second piece is how to connect yourself to, like I said, anyone, anywhere, for any reason, without the fear of rejection. And I just walk you through it one-on-one. It's a video digital product that you can use at your own time. You go through all the steps. I show you how to do it. You get your script, help you customize your script, and by the time you're done, you're ready to go. And once you connect with your first couple, I mean, the investment you made to get the program is more than paid for. So I'm happy to put that out. I'm pleased with it. Happy to help people.
Well, David, thanks for sharing that, because as you have been talking about what's entailed in this program, I know that I'm raising my hand because I can see the immediate application for sales. You know, one of the things that we see in our Black Entrepreneurs Institute bootcamp is that we see people that are just not comfortable with sales. And we know that sales is all about the ability to establish a connection, build rapport quickly. And so I see direct application. Do you have anything special that you could do for our community?
Yes. Oh, absolutely. Yeah. So I would love to offer a special code BEI for everybody listening, everybody who's a part of the community, for, if it's okay with you guys, for the book, as well as for the No Rejection Connection, so that we can get this into as many hands as possible, to get folks using it, so that we can really see a huge benefit, huge growth for 2021.
Awesome. So David, thank you so much for that. So friends, if you're listening, you see the link scrolling below. It's the norejectionconnection.com. You're going to go there. You're going to use the code word BEI to get a discount on both the product and the book. Make sure you pick it up, because if you're looking to up level in 2021, I guarantee you're going to have to make some new connections, and knowing how to connect quickly is going to be essential to that. So David, thanks so much for doing that.
Absolutely. My pleasure.
So,
yeah. Well, Damien, I just want to add, so it's for both, because the book is at the ihatenetworkingevents.com. So the code will work here too.
Yes, that's right. Yep.
Good stuff. So I love that. You know, David, throughout the time that you've been talking with us today, you've mentioned giving a couple of times, right? And so it's clear to me that the whole idea of giving first is part of your DNA. So talk to us a little bit about what you find to be your favorite, or maybe even deeper than your favorite, the most fulfilling part about the services that you provide for business owners.
There was so two come to mind immediately. One was they were both funding related. One was an IT company that was and this is kind of there's a misconception about the funding we provide sometimes, is that it is only for companies in trouble. So it's companies that have some sort of a problem. There's an unexpected tax bill that they have to pay, sales tax. The city is knocking on the door because they didn't pay their sales tax or their meals tax if they're a restaurant. That's not always the case. In this particular case, this company was growing like crazy, and they needed to hire people. They needed to keep hiring people. In short, we were able to bring them on as a client. We get them funded multiple times to the point. And this was at the time, they were about a 1.2-ish $1 million company. By the end of our journey, they were about 3.8 million.
Wow.
And they were bought. So they were bought by a competitor. So it worked. It was a great end to the journey. We were able to help them fulfill their goals, their dreams for their business, and they were not bankable. They couldn't go to a bank for various reasons. But we were able to get them funding quickly when they needed it, and to the point where they were purchased by a competitor. So that was a positive exit. The second example, this particular company actually, they were doing well, but they faced this challenge. They were a government contractor, essentially. So for the city government, city and states. And I remember this phone call. The phone call came in on a Tuesday. Tuesday morning. Says, "Hi, I was referred to you by my CPA. He said you could help me." Okay, how can I help you? Well, you need to make payroll by Friday. Okay, no problem. No problem. So I'm thinking, no problem. That gives us about a week and a half. Your payrolls run next Friday. We'll get you going and collect some certain information and whatnot. And she said, "Oh no, this Friday." It's like, oh. Okay, so you need to make payroll by this Friday, which essentially means the funding can't be Friday. The funding has to be Thursday, because Steve and them are getting their checks on Friday, and they're expecting money to be there.
Right.
So I remember asking her this question. I said, "What happens if you don't make payroll by Friday?" She said, "We will be out of business on Saturday."
Wow.
I said, "Okay, we'll get to work." At this time, I had never moved this quickly to get a funding done, and I was confident we could do it, but I wasn't all that certain we could do it. But as business owners, my response, of course we can do it, and so we move forward. Got all the paperwork together. Long story short, we funded Thursday afternoon with a little bit of help from her payroll company, who kind of floated a little bit with, this was $75,000, floated the 75K a little bit, gave us a little bit of wiggle room, and we got it funded, and she made payroll. The end of that story is, eventually she graduated from our funding. She was funded one more time, and eventually built her business back up. She wasn't in trouble before. Her challenge was slow pay from the city, slow pay from the Commonwealth. That was her problem. And business owners face these challenges all the time. And it was not. She had been paid on time up till that point, and they weren't paying her. Contractually, they were within contract, but they didn't pay her when they said. So eventually she worked through it, she fought through it, and she was able to get to a point where she got traditional bank financing through a bank contact of mine, and move forward that way. So those two come to mind. Those are two of my favorites.
Wow, that is awesome. Angela, you're muted.
Oh no.
You know, sometimes when there's noise in the background, I was like, oh, because I was listening so intently, I didn't want the noise to be there. But no, that was so impressive. Thank you so much for sharing that.
Absolutely.
So it's almost time. It's hard to believe the show is almost over. But before we go, David, I would love to, again, of course, we have the different links posting below, and I'll rotate them. But, give you a final word. Like, if you could say anything to an entrepreneur, specifically, again, knowing that our audience targets minority business owners, what words of wisdom or encouragement going into 2021 would you offer them?
You are who you think you are. So I just posted that on I think I did on my Instagram account at All Things David Wilson. You are who you think you are, and whoever that is, you're absolutely correct. A lot of what I talk about on the radio show is mindset, and the first part of successful business ownership, successful entrepreneurship is believing in yourself. And sometimes we have to believe in ourselves when there's no reason to. When there's no reason to believe. I posted a video earlier today. It was called "The Dodgers Gonna Beat the Phillies." So it was about my baseball, my pony league. It was a pony league baseball story. And in short, my baseball team was defeated. We hadn't won a single game. The Phillies were undefeated. They had won every game big. And we started this chant on the bus. And what I later learned, it was an affirmation. So we were channeling the Dodgers going to beat the Phillies. The Dodgers going, and this whole school bus full of kids is chanting this mantra. And we had no reason to believe that we were going to win this game. We didn't. I couldn't even see. So I had these real thick glasses and couldn't really see the ball all that well and whatnot. We were sorry. We were sorry to the point where my mom rest in peace, Mom. But she was like, yeah, I'm not coming to any more of these games because you guys are. It was a shame. It's a shame when your mom is calling you sorry. So but the lesson is that we all came together, the parents came together, the coaches came together, and we believed when there was no reason to believe that we were going to win that game. And we won. And it was like winning daggone World Series. We piled on each other. We all got hot dogs and soda or whatnot at the hot dog truck after the game. But that's what I would leave with business owners. You have to a Lisa Nichols-ism. You have to know like you know that it's going to happen.
Love it. Thank you so much, and thank you for being our guest today.
Yes,
it has been a pleasure.
It's been a ball.
So, Damien, real quickly, remind people. People are asking, is the boot camp open?
Yes. So real quickly, friends. So we are open for enrolling our third cohort. Enrollment. The cohort kicks off on Tuesday, January the 5th. So there's still time for you to get in. We really want to encourage you to go ahead and get enrolled now, because you want to position yourself to win as an entrepreneur. Like we want you to be able to swing for the fences, but you've got to have foundation. You've got to get some of those pieces that that you're missing down pat. And so for those of you that might be curious about the boot camp, then what we want to do is we want to invite you to webinars that we're going to be doing to help you understand what you can expect from the boot camp. We've got a webinar that is coming up actually tomorrow on the 16th. It's from 5 to 7 p.m. Eastern time. And you can register via Eventbrite, and we're going to post the link in the comments below. There's another webinar that's coming up on the 20th, one coming up on the 22nd, one coming up on the 30th. And then we're going to give, for those of you that are going to wait till the absolute last minute, there's another webinar coming up on January 3rd before we finally close the door. So please, you're going to see the link there. Go ahead and get registered. Come to the webinar and come and check us out, because we want to serve you. We want to help you position yourself to win big as an entrepreneur. Like, let's face it, some of you you know what you've got is a side hustle, but you have the potential to be a business owner, an entrepreneur. David said it, you are who you think you are, but you may be missing a few pieces. The Black Entrepreneurs Institute Bootcamp is going to help you elevate your money, elevate your mindset, and help you take it to the next level. So with that, Angela, I'm going to pass it back to you for the final word, and thank David for joining us.
Well, Damien, you forgot to tell them though, we have 30% offer currently. So again, you gotta enroll, bring a friend, don't grow alone. Again, going back to David, all things davidwilson.com. The links are below. Follow David. He is definitely worth the follow. And I don't follow a lot of people, but I promise you, now that I've been connected to David, I am like all in. So you want to follow him. So thanks, everybody. Have a great evening. Remember, the candle lighting starts at 8:30 Eastern Standard Time. And until our next episode next week with our youthpreneur, take care. And again, we're here to elevate your mindset and money. Have a good night.
Thanks, guys.
All right. Thank you.